Welcome to The Driven Entrepreneur, where we sit down with visionaries, trailblazers, and entrepreneurs and discover why and how they do what they do. We'll get the backstory, plus plenty of life and business lessons along the way. Here's your host, Matt Brauning.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Matt Brauning. Welcome back to The Driven Entrepreneur. I hope you had, if you're in America, a good Thanksgiving. If you're around the world, I hope that you are safe, well, and happy with life, family, and of course, business. We're here for growing our business, for cranking as entrepreneurs. And this week, I thought I'd flip the script a little bit. I haven't done this on the podcast, but I would do this in my coaching programs on Zoom with some of our clients. I like to flip the script and show you a little bit of maybe like me being interviewed or some keynotes that I've given over the years where I'm just straight teaching stuff, right? And I've seen a lot of preeminent leaders doing this. I just saw on the Gary V podcast a few weeks something like that, maybe a few weeks back, I saw, he dropped an episode where it was a keynote he gave in Auckland, New Zealand. And I've put on seminars in Auckland, New Zealand, and it made me think, gosh, I've actually put on a lot of keynotes and put on a lot of seminars, and there's a lot of content that I just haven't shared with you guys yet, right? So we're usually building either some fresh content, we're answering questions, or of course interviewing and getting some stories from top entrepreneurs. But I thought, what if I just flip the script and give you sometimes either when I've been interviewed, sharing some content, or some longer, more in-depth keynotes or trainings I did, and we'll give a little bit of commentary along the way to give you an idea and kind of wet your whistle for what that is. So today, I thought this would be really, really fun. I shared this over on my YouTube channel, YouTube at Matt Brauning, of course, Brauning. That's the last name. I think you know that by now. Matt Brauning on YouTube. Me being interviewed by Superman, Dean Cain. You guys know Dean Cain from the New Adventures of Superman, Lois and Clark. Now, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 41 as I record this. So I grew up watching Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher. Right? I mean, he was my Superman, right? It was before the big new DC movies were coming out, before Smallville came out, and really after the Christopher Reeves run of Superman. So when Christopher Reeves was Superman, I was a little kid, like really, really little. So I grew up watching Dean Cain and thought, man, this is Superman. And recently in the last couple of years, I've had a chance to get to know Dean. I've actually had him on the show. So if you go back in the archives, you can just search Dean Cain. You'll find a really, really in-depth, interesting episode where I'm interviewing Dean and finding out a bit more about his story, what it was like growing up, with a writer and producer as a dad and having parents in Hollywood and in that world, and why and how he's still acting, doing several movies a year today, and why he chose the route he chose in the acting world. So we had a lot of fun with that. You can go check that out. But this is all about, again, flipping, and Dean is interviewing me on a real popular internet TV show called Rock Your Life TV, produced by a dear friend, Craig Duswalt, former manager of Guns N' Roses. He used to run with Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses, and Craig Duswalt does these amazing Rock Your Life live events, and he does a Rock Your Life television show. Well, anyway, Dean came on, interviewed me, and it was just about a 15-minute clip, so I'm going to show it to you now or let you listen to it, and we get into what I call the 5 superhero mistakes every leader must avoid. So if this is you, if you're a leader, you actually learn a lot from this. We use superheroes as a metaphor because why wouldn't I when you're talking to Superman? All right, there we go. And enjoy the interview with Matt Brauning and Dean Cain.
Hello everyone, welcome to Craig Duswalt's Rock Your Life TV series, where we interview amazing business leaders and innovative entrepreneurs. I am your guest host, Dean Cain, and I'm sitting here right now with Matt Brauning. Braun as in Brauning. And we're here to talk to Matt today about a couple of interesting things. Now, you're a leadership expert. First of all, please tell me what a leadership expert is, because you hear a lot of different terms and terminology and so on and so forth. I think I'm a leader of some sorts, but teach me what a leadership expert is.
Well, we all get to be leaders in any different way, right? In our life, with our family, and certainly in business. So for leaders, we need to be able to go in and really shape and change the culture around us. That's what leaders do. Leaders bring the change with them.
And you're going to go in and you could talk to individuals, you could talk to companies, you could talk to anybody and say, here, I have friends. A couple of my friends, one is a Navy SEAL who I guess does something in this ballpark.
I'll bet.
Comes in and talks and has principles and things of that nature that he tries to teach to companies and to groups. Is that similar to some of the stuff that you do?
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what the entire book was all about. And that's what I've been teaching to companies, Fortune 500 companies all over the place. They hire me to go in and shift the corporate culture, all through leadership drives and different leadership styles.
Now, you mentioned the book. I hadn't even brought it up yet. Here it is. The book is called, he's an author, obviously, as well. He's written a book, and it's called The Firebox Principle. It's out now. You can get it everywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere where books are, except, even the library.
I'm working on getting in the library. Okay. I do believe it should be in the hands of everybody.
Fair enough. All right, so you can get it anywhere. The Firebox Principle. What is the Firebox Principle? What is the book about?
Well, it's called The Firebox Principle, the 7 drives that fuel every entrepreneur. And the idea for the book came from old locomotives, like old steam engines.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. And inside of a steam engine, there's a firebox. It's hidden down underneath, and that's where the fuel goes in, heats up the water, makes the steam, pushes
the coal
it
used
forward,
to go in
the
there.
old coal. And what's interesting, though, about steam engines, a lot of people don't know, they use all different fuels. So the Brits favored coal, America favored wood very often,
wow.
sugar byproduct, corn, you name it, they filled it with it. And what's interesting, though, is for us, we need to look at the environment that we're going through, and the environment will dictate what fuel we use. So when you look at the 7 different drives that fuel visionaries, innovators, creators, entrepreneurs, it's all based on the environment we grow up in. So the book really gets into the origin stories of great visionaries in the world. And what's in their firebox? What's in your firebox? There's a reason why you do what you do.
Absolute truth. Well, that's really interesting. And some people look at, like history and go, okay, well, everything's already been developed. Everything's already happened. There's no great, wonderful thing that I can do by myself. However, I'll look back to my college time, which was, 30 years ago I graduated. There was a kid named Jeff Bezos who was in my
I've
school.
heard of him.
Yeah, and he is now the richest man in the world and created Amazon and did a whole thing like that. Yeah. I don't know what's in his firebox, but I would have thought, we were the same kind of guy growing up, and there he is. He's the richest man on earth, and actually I'm doing pretty well, so I'm not upset with that. But it's interesting.
You're at least number 3, 2, somewhere in there.
Do you talk about that kind of stuff for those kinds of people, or give me an example of someone without giving away too much in the book?
No, I can give away it all. So here's a couple interesting ones. So this is not a personality thing. It's about motivations and what drives us internally through our stories. So one of my favorite ones is called the Avenger Drive.
The Avenger Drive.
I was going to call it the Revenge Drive, but no one wants to be labeled that. But the Avenger Drive is about making a wrong and turning it right, or proving something to someone. So James Dyson's a good example. He started Dyson vacuums. Right?
Sure.
And
I happen to love those things.
Well, who doesn't? Because he revolutionized the vacuum industry.
Right.
But before Dyson came around, he was so mad at the vacuum industry because they all had disposable bags, and he thought the customers were getting ripped off because you had to keep buying new ones. So he came in with a new technology that didn't need it, the Cyclone technology.
Right.
And the vacuum cleaner industry wouldn't buy it. It was like bringing an electric car to Detroit in the 80s. It's not going to happen.
Now you could.
Now you could, but back then it wasn't happening.
Right.
So he went from Britain, he went to America, he went to Asia, he went all over the place, and now he's revolutionized it. But what drove him inside is he said, that's not fair. That's not fair. So whether it's Dyson, whether it's Lamborghini, who's upset at Ferrari for saying he was just a tractor mechanic. And he
said, how that happened?
That's exactly how it happened.
Holy smokes.
He said, I'll prove you wrong because I have the best engine possible. And then he made Lamborghini to prove himself. So there's stories of these entrepreneurs that have created something because of a certain reason. And it might not be the ones you think.
The Avenger
Drive.
Well, does that work with a breakup too? I heard the saying, the greatest revenge is tremendous success. In that sense.
There's a great story about a restaurant in Britain called Witherspoon's, and the story is he grew up with a 3rd grade teacher who always told him, you're never going to amount to anything, you're terrible at this. And what he did is he started this. It's like a Denny's over there. It's a huge chain. And he put the very first Witherspoons across the street from the school. You know where he came up with the name?
That was
3rd grade teacher.
Witherspoon.
Let me show you something.
Right here, Mr. or Mrs. Witherspoon.
And you wanted her to look at it every day.
So I like it better, the Avenger.
The Avenger Drive.
The Avenger Drive as opposed to the Revenge Drive, because revenge is even though they say it's a dish best served cold, and that the Avenger Drive, that's it. That massive success, and here you go. And you hear the stories. You hear about the class clowns and the kids, whether it's Jack Black or somebody like that. They're like, you're never going to be anything, and here they go.
Well, let me show you. And you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't, I'm sure that not everyone in your life said you're going to do something. Not everyone in my life said I'm going to do something.
Oh, there are a lot of people tell you can't do it, or you're done now, or your career's done, or this is it.
That was as good as you're going to get.
Oh yeah, you hear
and
that.
That's not the case ever.
That's not the case ever. Now you're obviously very well spoken. You're a good looking guy. You're on TV. You do those. I'm man enough to say it. You're on TV. You're doing these things. You're doing morning show things. There's something I got to ask you about that might have a personal a connection to me in a sense. There's a thing you talk about called the 5 superhero traits that every leader must avoid.
Yes.
I gotta know what they are.
Well, think about this. So most people think superheroes, and you know a thing or two about superheroes?
I know a thing or two. I know at least one thing about a superhero.
Well, most people think superheroes, right? They're great at saving the world all by themselves, but they make terrible leaders. They just do. So what I realized is I started looking at the different traits, and I found that there's 5 superhero traits that every leader has to avoid, and I named them after different superheroes. You'll like the last one.
This is going to be awesome.
So the first one is, I call it the Spiderman Snafu, and it's hiding behind a mask. So as a leader, we can't hide behind the mask and be too mysterious. Spider-Man says, I can't let you know who I really am. But as a leader out in a company, if you're gonna lead people, be in front of them, the world today demands more authenticity than they ever have in the history of mankind. They demand to know what's behind the person.
Sure.
What do you really think? What do you really feel? You can't be too mysterious. The second one is the Mr. Incredible mistake. Who doesn't love Incredibles, right?
I love the Incredibles,
Dude,
so I gotta be honest. Mr. Incredible's the man.
My son's Val, he loves Baby Jack Jack. Who doesn't, right?
Jack's crazy.
He's the best.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get with Jack.
No, and here's the crazy thing. Jack's the hero. But Mr. Incredible never trusted his team. Mistake number 2, he always believed that they were too weak or they were too vulnerable, so he's kept them home when he went out to try to save the world. Lucky for us, the kids got out with Baby Jack in tow, and they came out and saved the day.
Right.
Right? You gotta trust your team. They're stronger than you think. You don't have to protect everyone all the time and do it all yourself.
First 2, very good. Like them too.
So here's the third mistake. That was Mr. Incredible, the Ironman Illusion.
Oh yes.
So Mr. Iron Tony Stark.
The Illusion.
Now, I don't know if you're a big fan of Iron Man.
I like Iron Man. I think Robert Downey Jr. did a great job with it too.
Phenomenal.
Great fun.
And especially as one of the earlier Marvel films, I thought it was just so well put together. In Iron Man 3, there was a great scene. The Iron Man Illusion is hiding behind the armor, not willing to show your scars and your wounds, trying to say that you're stronger than you really are. In Iron Man 3, there was this moment when he was up in the sky and his suit stopped working.
And he knew he was falling.
Boom, he fell all the way down, and he's lying in the snow-covered ground. He takes his mask off, and you see these scars and cuts in his face. And for the first time in the whole movie, you look at him and think, that's a real human being behind that armor. So as a leader, we can't just have our armor in front. Again, we want to be able to show people, hey, here's my weakness. Here's something I'm not great at. Can you help me? Rather than trying to say, no, I can do it all. I can take care of this. I don't have any weaknesses. You got to show your weakness, your vulnerability, your ultimate strength.
Your humanity.
Your humanity.
No question about it.
That's it.
Very good. How many are we now? That's 3?
We're almost done.
Is that
almost
3
done.
or is that 4?
That's 3. That's 3.
These are awesome. Well done. All right, give us 3.
All right, so we're almost there. So number 4 is the Hectic Hulk.
Give us 4.
Number 4 is the Hectic Hulk, right?
I was just with Mark Ruffalo this weekend. I was with him this weekend in New York.
So he's probably a much more well-mannered guy than his character?
Well, because he's Bruce Banner at that time. But he hadn't become the Hulk yet, but I'm sure he could have at any moment.
You just watch him with that little green tinge?
I was watching to see him get a little angry. I don't like him when he's angry.
Well, look at Hulk, right? Like, again, imagine if Hulk was the leader of all of it.
That'd be bad.
Right? The challenge is, Hulk smash!
Hulk smash.
And you're being so emotional and reacting to every little thing. As a leader, you can't do that. We need to be able to stop and take the time to think. You'll avoid a lot of stupid mistakes. You can't fly off the handle. Look at social media and people's tweets these days.
Oh, yeah.
I
double-check my tweets there. I won't be Hulk.
Maybe even triple-checking,
Maybe even triple-check.
And say,
Maybe even save that one.
Let me write this. Yeah, let me write this tomorrow and see if I still feel that way. So emotions right now and messages are almost like tattoos. Think it through twice before you do something dumb.
Oh, think it through a lot. Tattoo, think a long time. Yeah, well said. Very good. Outstanding.
And number 5, and this is just for you, the Superman Screwup. The Superman Screwup.
That's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? Impossible. Superman can't screw up.
No, he's perfect. Well, I mean, you're just an alien. It's not a big deal. But the Superman Screwup is not knowing your kryptonite. Every leader has a kryptonite.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, like, Superman, he knows his kryptonite. When he comes up against it,
It's kryptonite.
I'm gonna die.
I never cry. I mean, Superman never cried.
Superman never cried.
He didn't cry with the kryptonite just hurt him. It didn't make him cry.
No, it didn't cry, but just cowering down and crumpling to this little ball, right?
Yes.
But like, so all of us have a kryptonite.
We all do.
So, is it self-doubt? Is it inner conflict? Is it procrastination? Mine's time management. If I'm not careful, I'll get lost in the moment with people and I'll forget about time.
Right.
I got a question for you. What's yours, do you think? In real life, what's your
My father
kryptonite?
was very clear on it. He told me when I was a younger man,
Yeah.
my kryptonite is women.
Women.
That's what he said to me. Thanks, Dad.
So something to watch for, though, right?
Trust me.
Yeah.
I have watched for it since. I haven't totally learned it yet, 100%, but yeah, that's what he said to me. I mean, that no joke. He literally said that to me. Your kryptonite is women, and this is way before I started playing Superman.
Right. So now you know that, like, that's a thing that I need to be strong about. I need to pay attention to. I need to build my character around so that kryptonite can never take you down. And every leader has a kryptonite they got to watch for.
True,
Yeah.
100% true. Those are fantastic.
Yeah.
No wonder you've been talking about those elsewhere. Those are really well
It's
done.
a ton of fun.
And so this isn't in the firebox principle, but it's a great, absolute,
Right.
clear. So
Yeah.
stuff like that I find inside the firebox principle.
Yeah, if you get inside the firebox principle, what you're going to find is you'll understand those deep motivational drives, and then we learn leadership traits and lessons from origin stories from 20-plus visionaries, entrepreneurs, and I even have a metaphor where I talk about right in the book. And so before I met you, right in the book, it says, Dean Cain, who played Superman, and we talk a little bit about Superman and some of the strengths and the weaknesses and part of that origin story, because it's all about that origin story, right? And now today, people want to know origin stories.
Of course.
So the firebox drives are what's your origin story? What made you who you are? What's the fuel you've put in your fire?
And everybody has that, but you don't think about it in those terms. Nobody thinks about it in those terms. Well,
Nobody does. They're all under the surface. They're all unconscious ones, right? The most common thing I find when I go into a business, like whether it's US Bank or YMCA or whoever brought me in, the owner thinks that the drive for the business is one thing, and the employees may or may not see that same vision. So when they all take the Firebox quiz, which is available at fireboxbook.com.
Fireboxbook.com.
Fireboxbook.com, cheap plug. But go take the quiz, and you can have everybody do the quiz.
And then see what the vision is and if it matches up.
Yeah.
And then should it match up?
Well, ideally, yes. Ideally, yes. And if it doesn't, you either decide that it's time to change the drive. Because look at Witherspoon's, right? What if you started off Avenger Drive and you realize, I don't need to be angry about this 15, 25 years later.
Especially when I have 76 of these all over the country.
That's right. Maybe it's time to change the story and change what the drive is and bring that to the entire team.
Wow. Well done.
Hey, that's what we're doing.
You're good at this, Matt. You should do this.
I'm thinking about doing it for a living. Maybe.
Yeah, you should be a leadership expert because you sound like one to me. That's outstanding.
Man,
it's a pleasure. Now, if people want to get in touch with you
much.
and have them come in and teach these principles and things of that nature, how do they do so?
Yeah, mattbrauning.com. It's BRAUNING. mattbrauning.com, or you can get the book at fireboxbook.com.
Perfect. It's got a quiz in there, and you can straighten out your company. That's fantastic, Matt. An absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here. We'll be right back after this.
So I just listened to this back myself for the first time in about a year and a half or so, and well, you get what you get. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty fun. What did you think? Did you learn anything? I love the idea of using metaphors when you're teaching. So originally when I thought of this was a television script for TV segments going on, different morning shows. And I thought, really need a good, fun tie-in to make leadership less serious. Like, it's serious business, but I wanted to make it a little more fun and just something that, everybody could grab hold of and sink their teeth into and go, oh, yeah, I get this. Leadership, of course. So I came up with the idea of doing the superhero traits. And I just love it. Mr. Incredible, we're talking Spider-Man, Superman, and every one of them, as I began to look at it, I realized each one of these superheroes, they actually have some character flaws that are real deep. So the takeaway this week, I hope you're getting this isn't just, sure, it was fun doing a TV segment. It's fun teaching something with a fun metaphor like superheroes, but don't miss the lesson in here. And the lesson is every great leader has an Achilles heel, or as I said in the Superman Screwup, right? I think it was the last one, Superman, not knowing what your kryptonite is, right? You have to know what is the character trait that might take you down if you don't pay attention. And I got a few of those. I know you might too, but pay attention. Like, is it procrastination? Is it discipline, right? Is it lackluster motivation? You get motivated and then you peter out. Is it not finishing strong? What is it that's something that you need to watch out for? And if you don't, it'll take you down. So leaders, get out there and continue crushing it. Stay driven as per usual. Hope you enjoyed the interview. I certainly did. And I'll be back next week with some questions, some Q&A from you. Remember, if you have a question, you can jump on and ask your question. Go to mattbrowningpodcast.com. Right at the top, there's a button, and you just submit your question, and I'm going to feature you on The Driven Entrepreneur. We're going to put you and your business into the show notes and make the episode really centering around you and what you're asking. So it's real simple, real easy to ask a question. mattbrowningpodcast.com. There's no fee for it or anything. Jump in, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.